So when a client comes to you, because this is something I want to know, is do they have to say, I give all my rights away? Do they give you all their passwords? Do they sign something that says you can say their name in an interview?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's so much contract and paperwork that goes behind different types of permissions that they can or can't give out.
Yeah, and so it really depends on kind of who they are. Okay. We always have it to where we can, anything that we create for them, we structure it as they own it when we're done with it and they've paid for it. So a lot of agencies hold ownership of projects.
So like if they take a cool picture of their office, they'll say you can't put that on your social if you stop hiring us.
If they could in certain situations, or like a logo, like the ownership is resides with them, and some of it stems from intellectual property standpoint that they always want to hold that ownership. Some of it stems from probably a less pure standpoint as well, but.
Yeah, there's both.
Yeah, I always thought that you contracted us to do it for you. It's yours. I don't need to own it. What we have in our contract is full usage rights to it afterwards, which really ultimately just allows us to not have to get written permission to use it when we need to print something for you or whatever. So it just clears up the paperwork structure from that side.
I didn't even think about that for future work with just print or well, because every social media or just digital advertising agency I've seen just in your field in general will list we've worked with GE, or they'll list all their big name clients so other people know they do good work and actually are more than just working out of your garage.
Yep.
So I assume there's some legalness behind that. Where they say something like, you can post our logo on your website and share a testimonial. Things like that.
And depending on your contract, depends on if you can do it or you need to get extra permission to use it on a website or somewhere that's not a traditional structure. So it just kind of depends on how your agreement is. And it just varies from company to company. But the ownership thing is something that I would definitely look at in any contract that you're doing with a marketing agency to make sure that at the end of the day you own the deliverable.
Right.
And we still, have it in ours that we get full usage rights to it so we can print and execute things for you on your behalf. But at the end of the day, you contracted us to do it. I don't need to hold ownership of that to do that. So it's one of the things that we definitely kind of look at.
Have you personally then seen scenarios where a company will hire someone to do a logo and then they kind of somehow get screwed over and then they have to switch the logo? Have you seen something like that happen?
Yeah, and not so much necessarily always from an ownership standpoint. We've definitely seen that too, where if a company feels that they got screwed in some fashion and you as the business quit working with them and they feel slighted in that, then they would hold the working files of your logo to not give to you. And so that really just becomes, then you can't really do much without the working files, especially if we're trying to tweak it or adjust it or do something. So we've seen that, but we've also seen the standpoints of, working with an actual professional in our industry versus trying to go and do it yourself or hire a $5 freelancer that's going to do something. We had a potential client that came to us and was working on execute a few things and was in the process of getting her logo and packaging for her product approved through the lawyer. She already had it done. She went overseas to get it done because it was a lot cheaper than what she had options for here. But when she got through the lawyer side of it, she got told that she couldn't trademark it or actually even use it because it was an exact replica of something that was already out on the market. So,
weird.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of doing the same logo for anybody and
just taking a popular logo and changing the colors and tweaking it a little bit to make it yours. But it's still too close to what that other one is that you're not going to be able to do it.
That's how shady.
Yeah, but when you go overseas, and I don't want to make it an overseas thing, when you don't use a reputable person, you can get taken advantage of. And so then she had to kind of go back and say, okay, now I've got to reinvest, so it's going to cost me probably twice as much as it would have if I did it right the first time.
Yeah.
And so that's just where the use of a professional. Yes, it costs more than the person who's just doing it on the side and
Mm-hmm.
for fun. But it's also worth it because they're doing it every day. They're building it for you,
Sure.
and there's longevity into what that's going to be as well too.
Man, what an unfortunate situation.
Definitely, felt really bad for her.
Mm-hmm.
And it costs us business at the end of the day too.
Right.
Not nearly as important as what it cost her, to have to go back through and repeat that whole process and basically start over,
Right.
which is another probably 4-month process. By the time you do logo, branding,
Wow.
and packaging, you've lost half a year.
That's a good point.
So.
Only problem is I never been a speaker. My thoughts buried deep, pack heat in my car. So much pressure on myself, I'm about to explode.